Thank you for tuning into this USD 113 Board of Education review. This review is from the meeting that occurred Monday, September 12th at 6 p.m. at the USD 113 Board of Education office. We had several amendments to the agenda under the consent agenda. Item G, notification for special board meeting. We have to call it that because we have board members who are going to help us at the Career Symposium and speak to students. There's about 15 minutes of time starting at approximately 9:05 a.m. The public would be welcome to that. We have 5 board members who have indicated that they're available to speak to students at that time. Under item L, we added Axtell co-concessions, Linda Hopp, Leah Papa, Katie Salmon, splitting that position, Alec Duryea, Axtell instructional support staff. We added an item between 11 and 12, and that would be the acceptance of Axtell principal resignation, Elena Sudden. The board adopted the agenda as amendment. We moved on. Item number 2, it seems like we've been working on the budget for months, which we have. It's been in front of the board, so the information there is not new. As part of our budgeting process, we do have to have a budget hearing, and we opened that at 6:05. We did not have anybody from the public interested in speaking to the board in regard to the budget hearing. Item number 3, revenue neutral. We've been talking about that for quite some time as well with the board. We have a hearing. It ran in conjunction at the same time as the budget hearing. We didn't have anybody present to visit with the board about the revenue neutral information. We have 2 funds out of 4 where we are exceeding revenue neutral, and that is as valuation increases, your mill rate has to decrease in order to have the same amount of money. Personally, I think that the idea of us being able to operate at last year's money or less is somewhat unrealistic. But anyway, we have 2 areas that we exceeded revenue neutral. One is the general fund. We are required by law to levy 20 mills. The general fund, then that money, we levy it as a district. It goes to the state. The state sends it back to us in the form of state aid. And so we get more money in state aid than what our taxpayers put in, but I think that that's kind of confusing for our local taxpayers, that when the district levies that money doesn't come straight to the district. It is considered to be state aid. So I just wanted to share that information. The other area that we exceeded revenue neutral is in the local option budget. That's also called the supplemental general fund. So anyway, as I said, we did not have anybody present to visit about that. We moved on to we didn't have anybody from these groups present to visit with the board. We moved on to the administrative reports, and I shared some information with the board. I shared with them the bus behavior code for the district and encouraged them to consider our bus drivers as we move forward. We are really in a bus driver crisis right now. We are short drivers, especially in the Wetmore area, and we were accepting applications. We are recruiting people, but we are really being challenged in that area right now. That is not unique to our district, but it is something. It is a problem that we're trying to overcome. I've driven a couple of times trying to help out, but it's really not a good situation. So we encourage people to apply for bus driver, and then we also encourage the board to support our bus drivers with student discipline and other areas. Bus fundraiser, I wanted to share with you. This is some activity by the Greater Sabetha Community Foundation to raise revenue to purchase an activity bus. This would be a nicer bus than the yellow buses that we have. None of the yellow buses we have air conditioning. And so anyway, the activity bus would be there. We had some conversations about how we try to make sure that there's no politics played as to what teams get to take it. So anyway, there's this is a really good project to take on, and I appreciate the efforts by everybody to improve what we do here within our school district. I shared information with the board about some signage that is being proposed by an individual that would be donating that to the Sabetha Elementary School to make the exterior of that building kind of match some of our redesign work, remodeling and new construction. So anyway, that's exciting to hear. The board did not accept that as a donation. I just want to make them aware of it. I made the board aware of where we are with COVID procedures for our district, and that has changed quite a bit from last year. I'm excited about that. An individual that's positive needs to stay home for 5 days, and then it's recommended that they wear a mask for the 5 days. After that, when they are around others, we're not doing tracing, contact tracing, and then close family contacts are not necessarily quarantined either, especially when they test negative. We will have an administrative review. This is in addition to the regular audit that happens in our district for the food service program, so that's something that's going to be coming up. I don't anticipate there being any challenges there. I touched base on the symposium information. Tech Electronics is going to be doing monitoring of the Axtell School with their fire prevention equipment. That is part of the sprinkler system. It's $85 a month that's going to cost us, but it is something that we are required to do. The year-to-date information is always interesting. That's something that we do every month to try to monitor our spending. And we have spent approximately $75,000 more at this point than compared to last year. That is within the parameters that we had considered for our school district. It's one of those things that we have to keep an eye on, make sure that we know where we are with that. And that's everything that I had with my report. We moved on in the agenda, and we moved on to item 6, remodeling and construction updates shared with the board. We are concerned about some of the delays in materials. Most recent was information about the remodeling of the Axtell Science Room, that some of the materials are going to be delayed. More than we thought they were. Excuse me. We thought we would have that done in October, and it looks like we're going to be going into November before we get some of the cabinets in that we're planning on replacing in the science room there in Axtell. Shared some information working on the Sabeth Elementary School kitchen. We're hoping to have that wrapped up fairly soon. Needs assessment for the budget. This is something that's required, and we've been visiting with the board about it. We had a lot of conversation at our August meeting in regard to the needs assessment. And in that process, we look at demographics for our district. We look at different challenges. We look at assessment scores. We look at a lot of different things. And of course, there's room for improvement in our district. And so that's been part of that conversation. And so we, in the end, the board did adopt the needs assessment as finalized, and where they addressed that they've used the needs assessment to evaluate where we are with our budget and to use it to help guide budgeting decisions. Item number 8, to adopt the LOB resolution. Back in 2017, the board passed a resolution that we would go to 33% for LOB. That's a formula within the budget to determine what our maximum is for the LOB, and the board did that in 2017. Recently, we have been informed that we need to go ahead and adopt something every year. So the board adopted a resolution to go to 33% for the LOB. And I've encouraged our board to maximize the LOB. We do get state aid for the LOB. We don't get state aid for other funds like capital outlay. And so that's one of the areas that we're trying to maximize the amount of money that we do get from the state. Item number 9, the board did approve the revenue neutral resolution. By law, by statute, that is a roll call vote. And so we did approve that revenue neutral resolution. Item 10, the board did approve the budget as presented. And so I'm excited to get that process completed. That we start that process in the spring of the year, and we do most of our work in the summer, and then we finally approve in late summer or early fall like it is now. So that is a long process. It's unusual because we have been operating up to this point without an active budget. So it's just a challenge sometimes to know what you're working with, and the procedure here is somewhat messy when you consider budgets for most other organizations. Item number 11, we went into executive session for 20 minutes with the board, myself, and Martin Mishler, our board attorney. We came out of executive session. Item 11A, the board approved the resignation of Elena Sutton. Item number 12, we had some conversation with the board about boardsmanship, and that's how the intent for conducting our business, and especially the relationship between the superintendent and the Board of Education, what that should be like, what we're trying to do, and we talk a lot about communication. The communication from the superintendent to board members and the communication from the board to the superintendent. So, and then there's also a pact that we kind of have that we try not to surprise each other with information at a board meeting. We try to give each other a heads up or notification that something's going to be coming. So anyway, thank you for your interest in USD 113. As always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give me a call. Thank you.